And now for something completely different.
Forget everything you've been told by others before. Get ready for the real deal, the full story. Real talk about money, markets, life. Now, it's The Real Investment Show, presented by RIA Advisors.
Is this Denny's? Is Brent serving breakfast? Hey, welcome to The Real Investment Show. I'm Rich Rosso, certified financial planner, here with Danny Ratliff. We've got the saddest excuse for a tree that I've ever seen.
It is kind of bleak around here this year.
It is like a camera stand, a crooked camera stand with green garland around it. And it really, Charlie Brown's Christmas tree is laughing at this one. I mean, this, instead of a star at the top, it's got a camera.
Think about all the sad Christmas trees sitting in boxes.
You know, do you remember, and again, I'm not from here, but I've been here long enough, the old Whataburger commercials with the man that's manning, he heads up the Christmas tree lot and he's all by himself, and the little boy comes up with a bag of Whataburger.
Yeah.
To keep him in the Christmas spirit, because he's all alone. You know, he's selling the trees.
That would do it for me.
This old dude. I don't know. It's just, they always did some really cool kind of warm and fuzzy Christmas commercials. Always liked them.
Made you want to run out and get a Whataburger.
Not really. But the sentiment, the sentiment of that commercial was very effective.
Have you had the cinnamon rolls at Whataburger?
No, but now I want one. I am a sucker for cinnamon rolls.
Oh. And they'll deliver.
I am a sucker for cinnamon rolls like Lance is for a MACD chart. When I go, hey, you want to go for a MACD? He goes, you mean we're going to McDonald's? He goes, what do you mean, the chart? No, I said we'll go to McDonald's. No. So market is sort of what I call wishy-washy, sticking with that Charlie Brown theme. We hit the 3,700 on the S&P, pulled back a bit. This is not out of the ordinary here for what we're seeing. Sort of markets sort of churning a bit. Huh, Danny? Trying to figure out where to go. Some of the action is sort of messy. We are down. The futures are down today. Dow futures down 203. S&P futures are down today. But it's a very, I can't explain it. It's sort of a hit or miss kind of thing right now. Waiting for something to happen. It's almost like this waiting for something to happen market. Whether it's stimulus coming out, I think that's really what we're anticipating. But Lance talked about this, that it would be a little bit, not a scientific or market term, but squishy here for a bit before you get into year end.
Well, in looking at the markets right now, there's a lot of things that they've been waiting on. And it's interesting that the data we've been getting, it hasn't been nearly as good as what we've been expecting.
No.
Which you would think would kind of speed up the stimulus process. And obviously, I think they're, you think they're on the 1 yard line, or do you think they're a little bit further back?
Listen, just toss a coin, right? I mean, we have 11 million people still unemployed, numbers coming in weaker. And actually, I thought the market would take it worse than it did. But obviously, stimulus creates this great foundation underneath the market. But obviously, we still need catalysts to move forward. And we really don't have anything right now. And mutual funds going through paying out gains, rebalancing. So you're in this sort of nebulous time before you get to the end of the year. So it's almost as exciting as watching paint dry.
Well, you're in that
this Christmas tree here.
Yeah. You're in a bit of a purgatory, right? Because good news where good news was bad news and bad news was good news, because look, any of this bad information means that we're going to get some type of stimulus package. But I think maybe what the market is signaling, that they're not as fond of a $900 billion package as a $2 trillion package, or I don't know. But I mean, if you look at initial jobless claims, those were much higher than what we expected. I mean, way, way higher. All the job information for the last 2 weeks has been pretty bleak. If we, I'm interested to see what CPI or CPI came out, but what consumer sentiment is today. As we're going into, we're really right smack dab in the middle of the holiday season. What does this look like? And I think that may give us an opportunity for a push up. if we get some good data, people feel good enough to spend. But I would suspect with so many people out of the workforce, the one thing that these numbers don't show is where's the actual participation rate? How many people just dropped off?
Well, absolutely. And that happens all the time. And again, you would think some of this squishy news would motivate the stimulus. I guess the element, too, that's missing from stimulus that really would be wanted would be the checks. But according to, we don't know, but if President-elect Biden is in, then you would have to see that he's saying this is a down payment to what another stimulus package would look like. So I guess the most encouraging news we've had has been about the vaccines. If you're out there, Pfizer just got approved. It's headed out there, frontline workers and so forth. So I guess that's not enough to move markets, per se, but enough to help Pfizer. That's for sure. Oh, man. Again, if you're in the middle of trying to figure out what to do, this is a good time of year just to check your allocation, right? Danny, one of those year-end things that you want to do is say, hey, what's my overall allocation look like going into next year? We don't know yet what might happen into next year as far as sector rotation, because there's always been this talk, well, we're going to move into these value spaces, financials and energy. And short term, those have done very well because, frankly, they were really at the bottom. We've had one of the largest or greatest moves in energy stocks, I think, since the 70s. However, you got to remember where we came from. You also have to remember that looking at the underlying economic data is not very good either. So to me, stimulus is what's really keeping this thing afloat, and discussion or talk of stimulus. And we know that rates aren't going anywhere anytime soon. The one thing that confuses me is the sector rotation now, because technology to some degree isn't working. We have utilities sort of getting beat up, even though the yields are good. It's sort of all over the board. We usually have a pretty firm rotation of sector movement, and I'm not really seeing that right now. Sort of like traders don't really know what to do.
Well, this week has been pretty interesting in regard to that.
Yeah.
And, it may be, talking about the stimulus, may be that down payment, just because Mnuchin says, hey, we're doing a $600 payment, essentially, because that'll go through the market and flow through immediately versus the unemployment benefits. But I think that's what's lacking out of this. I think you're going to have some. Now, I know the problem, and Mitch McConnell's been going back and forth and saying, well, it needs to be more thoughtful. We understand the reasons why. And I agree. I don't think we just throw money just to throw money out there, because it has those unintended consequences of hurting small business owners. So it's going to be interesting to see how this thing plays out, to see what the market likes or doesn't like because of this. But like you said, it's going to have to be that down payment, I think.
Yeah, and I think market sentiment's still good, because just look at the IPO market.
Holy moly. You look at DoorDash.
And Airbnb. And I only, by the way, full disclosure, I only use Airbnb for the most part. I enjoy it. I like it better than going to a hotel. I get a flavor for the area that I'm in, although I've rarely left the house this year. We're going to talk about that is, what if you want to invest in some of these things? What do you need to look for, especially now that they're trading on the market? Got to be very careful. I want to give you some ideas there. A lot of ideas. Hey, how are people using their HSA accounts, health savings accounts? Going to talk about that too when we get back here on The Real Investment Show.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
Hi, this is Danny Ratliff, Senior Financial Advisor, wishing you and your family the merriest Christmas from all of us at RIA Advisors.
This is Nick Lane, Analyst for RIA Advisors.
This is John, Senior Relationship Manager, wishing you and your family a very safe and Merry Christmas.
This is John Levy, Senior Advisor for RIA Advisors Austin and President of Advanced Wealth Strategies Group in Round Rock, Texas. I'd like to wish you all a very merry and blessed Christmas and holiday season. God bless you.
The Real Investment Show.
We hope you're getting ready for the holiday. How's your tree going there, Danny? You got your Christmas decor up there, buddy?
You know, our Christmas decor has been up
since October? No.
Well, just about. I mean, it was, I'm fairly traditional, and if you guys haven't figured that out yet.
So Christmas Eve for you?
No. We typically do it after Thanksgiving, but, this year being the year that it has been, and Michelle needed something to do with the kids, so the tree is up. The decorations are up, and they were up actually pre-Thanksgiving. So, we are in full Christmas mode.
See Danny on Christmas Day taking the tree down. All right, everybody.
No, man, I enjoy Christmas.
I know. Me too. And I actually have a tree up this year.
Yeah.
My house really does look like a Christmas wonderland this year, and I never do that. I think it is because of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, people decorating outside sooner, and I will tell you, the Blowies are insane this year.
The Blowies.
That's what I call the inflatables.
Yeah.
I call them Blowies because that's what Haley used to call them. So I've stuck with that moniker. But they're going to Blowie across. They're having a Blowie contest. Mm-hmm. The Blowie across the street plays music. I'm like, I can't win. I can't win. It's like I sit outside on my yard with my cup of coffee and I hear. I'm like, this is great. The Blowie across the street plays music. I'm like, there's no way I'm winning.
I think people have done more decorating this year than in past years.
Yeah.
For a long time.
I'm going around the neighborhood tonight.
Yeah.
Just to see, because what I've seen so far is rather impressive. As far as decorating, but it keeps people busy.
Yeah.
Keeps getting people in the mood. Mm-hmm. So, and listen, if I have my tree up, everybody, this is a different kind of year. All right.
Oh man.
Yeah. Even the dogs are looking at it like, do I pee on it?
What
do I do with this? What do I do under this thing? So it is a different kind of year. It's also been an unusual year for markets, but a great year for IPOs. So when you look at Airbnb, for example, it was supposed to be priced around $50. So it trades at $146. So people are going to be asking, and I think that's a good underlying sentiment for how investors, the overall risk appetite, even though, the engine is sort of revving here, it's not broken. And you have to be careful not to get caught up into the euphoria of these IPOs. If you haven't been able to get in, and listen, not everybody, believe me, gets an allotment. You have to be very, very special to get an allotment to these IPOs. But that doesn't mean that you can't look to own them down the road. But how long is long, Danny? Think about what needs to happen before, say, I am an individual investor, and I am an investor. I want to look at numbers and also technicals. What do you think I should do?
I think you should wait.
Wait's a good word.
Well, I mean, you told me this about 10 years ago. I think I called you and said, hey, what all these IPOs, this was right after, maybe this was right, maybe it's longer than that, maybe it's before the crisis, when everybody was offering IPOs. And, everybody's trying to get the most value and bang for your buck. So typically when you get towards market peaks, you begin to see more IPOs. Mm-hmm. But usually surrounding this, it's all emotional. It's we're going to get in and we're going to make a lot of money. And now, granted, if you are lucky enough to get in and sell at the end of the day, or maybe today, you're doing pretty well. Mm-hmm. But I think you need to make that pros and cons list. We talk about this with many things, but investing, you need to think about that with this company and wait. Because a lot of times, unless you're going to be, you're going to get that quick hit, you're going to get in, get out. If you try to ride this thing out, history typically will say, it's probably going to be a little bit lower than where it is today.
You're flying blind, to your point. You are flying blind. You want to give the insiders a chance to get the heck out. You want the euphoria to settle, to see what this really looks to be.
Well, and think about why these guys go to market. Why do you go public?
To make a heck of a lot of money.
You just said that, right?
Yeah.
So these guys aren't going to sit on it forever. They're going to start liquidating, and then other people will potentially liquidate as well because everybody's trying to make a buck.
And again, I mean, I don't
Nothing
know.
Wrong with it.
No,
great.
And I don't know Airbnb's numbers. I know I use the service. I don't know DoorDash's numbers. I have no idea what they would be. If you have to, If you're up against the wall and you say, listen, I must invest in these companies, well, okay, realize one, that maybe it's not an investment, it's more of a speculation for you. So redefine the dollars that you're going to place into it. So for example, maybe I was going to put $5,000, just making a number up, into Airbnb. That's what I'm going to do. I want $5,000. Okay, why don't, if I am flying blind, maybe I just put in $1,000. Wait and see what happens. If I feel I must, I'm saying personally, like I would do what you said. I would wait for numbers. I would wait for the euphoria. But people that are all wrapped up in it and feel that they must, temper it back and think about averaging or going slow or averaging in. Nothing wrong with that if you feel that's a strategy for you. But you better have a strategy as opposed to just being emotionally, like you said, caught up in it, Danny, right? Into the...
Well, I mean, you're looking at buying something, especially if you bought it now, you'd buy it well over what its actual valuation was, right? I mean, so you got to think about this too. They came up with a valuation. They're trying to get as much money out of their company as they can. And as you noticed, each of these companies over the last 2 days have increased right before it came to market what they wanted to get out of it.
Oh, it kept ratcheting up, right?
It did,
I think
yeah.
The initial, I can't remember what it was for Airbnb, but to your point, yeah. It kept ratcheting up at pre-market.
It was pre-market. It was going up, and they kept changing their numbers because they wanted to get as much as they could out of it.
Right.
So a fair market value should be essentially that if you're coming to market because you're essentially selling your business. Mm-hmm. And so now all of a sudden you're going to pay. It's like you said, you received some emails and calls like, "Hey, should somebody go buy this right now?" Well, now you're paying, whoosh, man, more than double, triple for something that just a day ago. The own company didn't think it was worth that much. I mean, think about it. Or they would have come out with those numbers initially. Now they're loving it because everybody's jumping to get in.
Talk about in the short term how markets are emotional. I mean, it is what it is.
But that's the rational look. And look, all these things we talk about, if we'd have been rational at the beginning of the year to now thinking about should we be in markets or not, we'd probably all say no. But being in them, you're higher, right? You're better than where we were. And so we try to rationalize a lot of these things, and you just can't sometimes, which is the craziest thing and the most frustrating thing about markets.
The euphoria in animal spirits, the emotion, actually the emotion most of us feel, we just try to control it as advisors. Listen, advisors are sometimes the worst when it comes to biases and emotional pitfalls when it comes to markets because we're so close to it. We feel overconfident. We watch it so much. And we have to really be humbled by the market. And you need to do the same overall and make sure you're looking at it as rationally as you can. Because when Airbnb comes out and DoorDash, same thing, comes out of the gate and doubles in a day, you would have to expect that some of that euphoria is going to burn off here over the next few months. So take your time, put it on a watch list, wait for homework to come out, numbers to come out, and be an intelligent investor when it comes to this kind of stuff. I don't know if we'll include that in the boot camp, but we are going to have a January 16th, 2021, Saturday Candid Coffee. And it'll be really your financial boot camp, the basics that you need to know to prepare properly for 2021. Do you have the foundation? Do you have the right habits going into the new year? We're going to call it the Let's Get Fiscal Candid Coffee. I got to get my...
Clever.
Well, I got to get the headband that says get.
And the shorts.
I'm not standing up.
I told him he had to be in the Richard Simmons tutu.
Yeah, I got to get my. I got to get the fro.
A little muscle shirt.
The little fro and the. I bet there is a website of Zoom pitfalls, like Zoom etiquette that's gone bad.
Oh, I'm sure.
Is it? I've been on a site called Karen's Gone Wild. It's not what you think, but it's all the people that flip out the Karens at stores and all that, and people videotape them.
I'm not going to Google that because...
No, but it's funny. It's just funny. But I can imagine there's got to be a Zoom gone wild where people are doing, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it, what I've been doing. So there are a lot of Zoom etiquette and go-to-meeting just etiquette classes about, hey, remember, that camera's on, check your background. Who was it, that guy that was with some model?
Put your pants on.
Yeah, wasn't that guy who was with some model and she walked by?
Nearly naked.
Buck naked. No, she was... This is the day she was born, and I think his wife was watching, or his girlfriend. So yeah, you got to be careful. Wow. Yeah, it was pretty heated. That
was the electronic background, honey. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's what we call a virus, honey. I don't know what happened there. So HSAs. I just wrote a piece for Lance. Should be out next week. One of the things, Danny. Danny's like, he says, I heart HSA shirt he wears at home. He won't wear it to work. Your health savings account is something you want to look to max out before the end of the year, right? You have a chance to go ahead and place more money into your health savings account. Now, I've learned a few things because you and I, Danny, we study health savings account quite a bit.
We do.
But there are some really very cool, unique ways that clients and individuals, you can use your health savings account. Not today. We want to save that money today, but we want to use it in the future. We want to give you some really good ideas on what to do here on The Real Investment Show, but you got to stay tuned. That'll be next segment.
Listen anyplace, anytime at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. No, it's not Santa. It's Rich Rosso, Director of Financial Planning for RIA Advisors.
Hi, this is Samantha, your Senior Client Service Administrator.
This is Chris LaRochelle, Senior Advisor with RIA Advisors in Round Rock.
Hello, season's greetings. This is Diana Williams, Client Service Administrator at RIA Advisors.
Wishing you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
The Real Investment Show.
Come shake your body, baby, to the conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer. Come shake your body, baby, to the conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer.
Welcome back to the Real Investment Show, Financial Fitness Friday edition. I have changed my shirt into the I love HSAs. So if you're watching online, no, I'm kidding. But I would, because I do believe, as Rich says, this is one of the best accounts out there because it's now has its limitations as far as what you can contribute, but it is the only account in the world that's going to give you that triple tax benefit.
But what does it tell us, Danny? What does it do? Like, how can I use it? Is everybody eligible for it? How do you become eligible for that?
Yeah, so that's a key factor, right? So not everybody is eligible for these accounts, but if you are on a high deductible health insurance plan, you are. And so a lot of times your company will actually let you know as you're going through enrollment period, hey, you have the eligibility to do so. If you find you're on a high deductible plan and you don't have access to an HSA through work, you can actually go out on the secondary market and purchase one yourself, which I would recommend you do. This is the only account in the world that's going to grow and give you that triple tax benefit. So funds go in tax-free, especially if they're coming directly from employment or you deduct it. They're going to grow tax-free, and you're going to see these distributions come out tax-free so long as they're used for healthcare expenditures. So, now very specific ones, mind you. It's not for everything. But we do know, what are the numbers, Rich? We hear from HealthView Services, from Fidelity, from a lot of these institutions who actually track these numbers on an annual basis, and it's growing every year. It went from like 200,000 to 250,000 to 300 to, HealthView, I think, is closer to 4 now as far as what an average couple will spend in retirement on healthcare.
Deductibles, premiums, additional costs. It's excess of what, $300,000?
It is.
Over a lifetime?
It is.
Keep this in mind. To your point, Danny, that can scare you straight into getting healthy before retirement, because that's the last thing you want to do. First of all, why would I want to spend all that money on healthcare? I want to have an active retirement as best I can. But boy, that really should open my eyes as to what habits I have today as I lead into retirement. I want to be as healthy as I possibly could be.
Absolutely. And, so this is one of those things that obviously you want to be as healthy as you can, but you're still going to have a lot of these costs. I mean, some is just regular maintenance.
That's right.
Just your health care or your Medicare premiums. I mean, so there's a lot of different ways that we can use these. But so for an individual in 2021, you can contribute $3,600 to an HSA. For a family, you can contribute $7,200. Now, if you're over 50, it's 55 for an HSA, you can contribute an extra $1,000 catch-up
55 and older, you get $1,000 more you can place into it. And what people maybe have not done before the end of the year is max them out.
That's right.
So maxing those out. Now remember, these are not flexible spending accounts where you put money away and it is pre-tax, and if it's used for qualified health care, medical expenses and services, that it is tax-free, right? I need to go to the doctor. I need my glasses. And there is a carryover provision generally, so you don't lose it if you don't use it, but you have to check with your benefits department to make sure. You might be carrying it over about $500 into next year. But that account, the flexible spending account, hey, it's I just thought about this. Here's how you know. It's flexible spending account, which means I need to spend the money.
Correct.
But it's a health savings account, not a health spending account. And people spend that money in a health savings account. They use it like a checkbook for their services. And we tell people what? Put money in there as a retirement healthcare fund. Don't touch it. Whatever you fund in a health savings account. Look at that. Coffee's good. It's hitting. I got up at 2 a.m., everybody. Listen, it's this money you want to keep growing in this account. You can allocate it among mutual funds, right? You'd have choices over time. There's some that will be in cash in case you do need it. You can rebalance it, do whatever you like, just like a 401k. But think about why you may not want to touch that until maybe even you're in Medicare.
Well, in the perfect world, you're not going to be spending these funds on an annualized basis for your medical expenses. You'll pay those out of pocket. Now, you will touch these down the road. You want to actually realize that tax-free growth and, let this compound over years. And, if you're talking, we talk to a lot of our clients and they have young kids who are just getting in or getting out of college, things of that nature. And what's one of the first things you tell them?
Fund your health savings account.
There you go. And don't touch it. There's a handful of other things, but this is a big thing, right? And so, there's lots of other alternative ways that this can be used as well. I think a lot of people think this can only be used for doctor's visits.
Because we mix them up with flexible spending.
Correct.
Spending accounts, right? So, Danny, right? Very cool how you can use these funds for Medicare Parts A, B, D, as well as copays for Part D, as well as Medicare Advantage. So you can pay your premiums for Medicare, and Part B premiums only went up 2.7%, but on average, these Part B premiums have been going up in excess of 6%. What if I could do that tax-free coming out of this account? Or maybe you have COBRA premiums, long-term care expenses.
Well, we know a ton of people with COBRA premiums right now. Think about this. What if you didn't get that big severance package? And this is an avenue, something you could tap right now to use and have some money come out tax-free. Now, obviously...
That's a good point. But that is because to your point, right?
Yeah.
What if I do lose my...
Or you have lost your job, right?
So it's almost like a healthcare emergency savings account. I'm driving Brent crazy. He's like, I'm going to tune you out, buddy.
Yeah. Well, he's been muting you. You just don't know it. It's okay. So, but this is important too to think about. So a lot of people ask, so you do have a lot of times an investing element that you can use within these accounts, kind of similar to a 401k. May not have all the options in the world, can't go buy a bunch of stocks, but you can invest in many of these plans. which leads me to say, we want you to have some cash in these accounts too.
Yep.
I would typically say you want 2 years of premiums for your health insurance, because in the event something happens, this is going to give you the ability to pay at least a COBRA, and then hopefully give you some time to find a job, and let the rest of the funds grow. Now, obviously, you could go through that pretty quickly if you just started one, but we'd like the intent is here, obviously, for long-term growth, but you do have other options all along the way, and I think that's important. So you mentioned that you can use this for healthcare expenditures. Now, you cannot use it for like Medigap or supplemental policies, unfortunately.
I don't know why, but you cannot use it. And we do like that Medigap over Medicare Advantage, generally speaking. Which is why Medicare Advantage sometimes can be very appetizing for people. Now that I know I can use my HSA, use tax-free money to pay my premiums, that might be very enticing.
And so the other thing that they can do is it can cover long-term care premiums if it's the right type of policy. So maybe explain what the difference is between the right policy and the wrong policy here, Rich.
What do you mean?
Well, it's got to be the right type of policy as far as, the long-term care.
Oh, yeah. Because one thing I was reading before we get to that is, keep this in mind, it's a little sticky. And this is from EBN, it's Grid Magazine, talks about employee benefits. Healthcare policy advisor to George W. Bush was talking about that even though HSAs can normally be used to pay expenses incurred by the account owner's spouse or dependent, Medicare expenses aren't considered an eligible expense unless the account holder is 65. So if there's a couple that has an age gap, right, they need to consider whose name the HSA is under.
That's right.
Or at least each have their own HSA as opposed to a family one, so that the older partner doesn't have to wait until the younger one turns 65 to take advantage of the rule. So, you got to be aware of with Medicare, if I'm the one that opens this HSA, I need to be the one who's 65 years old to withdraw and have that money tax-free for my premiums.
Well, but I think there's another benefit here is that if you can both have your own plan.
Yes.
Do so, because it's going to give you the ability to contribute that extra $1,000 catch-up provision. So instead of you being able to put in $8,200, you'll actually be $92 by splitting the plans and not just saying, well, we have a family plan, we're going to all put it into this account.
This one account.
Yeah.
It's just that maybe a spouse doesn't have a high deductible plan.
Correct.
One does. But yes, if you both can fund your health savings accounts, that would be very good because you'd be putting more money away. And to Danny's point about long-term care, so to qualify, you could have the policy. Of course, first of all, we did our long-term care Candid Coffee, which is available on YouTube and so forth. And we talked about, again, this is not medical insurance or medical issue. This is more of, hey, I can't do at least 2 to 3 daily living activities. I can't bathe on my own. I can't eat on my own. So, but if you do need assistance with at least 2 daily living activities, or if you suffer cognitive impairment, which is what right, Danny, we talked a lot about the pressures of costs on a family when there is a cognitive issue, Alzheimer's, dementia, because elderly Americans, and heck, a lot of people get Alzheimer's, but generally speaking, for this long-term care issue, you can be physically healthy for so long, but yet still have to pay these expenses. So keep in mind, your HSA shouldn't be used today, but look at what you can use it for tomorrow, the health savings account. Brent's got his bat out. He's going to hit me. Hey, we get back. We want to talk about, hey, you know what? People are looking for certain things in their 401ks. What are they besides just the tax-deferred growth? We'll talk about that when we get back.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet at realinvestmentadvice.com.
This is Lance Roberts, your host, wishing you all of the best in the new year from all of us at RIA Advisors.
This is Nikki Brock Maresca with the RIA Advisors HR Department, wishing you and your family a very Merry Christmas.
Hi, this is Craig Severin, Senior Financial Planner, wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
This is Brent Clanton, Executive Producer, wishing you all the best in the new year.
Hi, this is Connie Mack, CEO, wishing you and your family a Merry Christmas from all of us at RIA Advisors.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
Everybody get up!
So, welcome back. Brent leaves little cute sayings on the computer screen. So we can try to make you laugh, because usually we're not funny. But one that he placed up there is get your relatives speaking to one another again by sending a heartfelt Christmas card with a picture of your family with an extra child nobody knows. I say not the extra child, but maybe a ventriloquist dummy, because that would cause all kinds of questions. Yeah. Like, have you lost your mind? What's going on there?
What's going on with Uncle Rich over here?
He's losing it.
We all knew it.
Or
it
a puppet. Listen, I do have a lot of puppets.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. But that would get somebody's attention. Anybody get Christmas cards? I got one.
Yeah.
Actually, Mrs. Ratliff sends me one.
Our kids now send Christmas cards with the family Christmas photo, so we get to fresh images of the grandchildren.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
But you know what I noticed is making a comeback? For people in the audience that's not, young babes like Danny. The old-fashioned Christmas cards.
I thought you were going to say fruitcakes, but...
those are just recycled.
Yeah. We just keep burying them in the yard, and the dog keeps bringing them back up, and we keep giving them away. But the old school looking Christmas cards, you know what I'm saying? Like from the 40s and the 50s.
The glitter and the frost.
Yes, the glitter and the frost. Like you can buy those now, and I think that's very cool retro. Yeah. I mean, they were always beautiful, right? Some Christmas cards were like works of art when you get them in the mail.
So in addition to the pine needles or the plastic pine needles in your carpet, now you have to dig the glitter out of your carpet.
But I don't know. There's something about bottle brush, like the old bottle brush trees, right? Those bristly trees that used in the 40s and the 50s. I mean, I may be older than Brent here. And
those are still around, right?
Yeah, they are.
Got a couple in the yard,
but they're not as good anymore.
One of my favorite Christmas songs is very tongue-in-cheek.
I Want a Bottle Brush Christmas
from Michael Franks.
Oh,
I bought you a plastic star for your aluminum tree. Google it. It's hilarious. It's a great tune.
I have a friend on Facebook, because I was thinking about doing this, who did buy the old aluminum tree.
Yeah.
Now, you would suffer greatly from blood loss putting these trees together, because the tin or the aluminum would cut your fingers, and you didn't know you were bleeding. Like, oh, look at all the red decorations on the tree. No, honey, you're bleeding. From those branches.
You have to have a tetanus shot to put it together.
And you had the color wheel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? And it would circulate, and then the silver tree would be all these beautiful colors. And now I've noticed those have made a comeback.
In Houston, at the Hobby Airport, there's the old 1940s style terminal that they've renovated. It's original Art Deco looking.
Oh, okay.
And right now, inside, there's a museum. They have Christmas displays from the 40s and 50s.
No way.
All these aluminum trees.
I have to go.
You got to go.
Just the low cost of a one-way ticket.
It's a great museum.
Are they original, you think, or are they?
I'm pretty sure they are.
That's amazing.
It's a museum.
That's amazing. Christmas just brings up all kinds of memories, right?
Yeah.
Things that pull out a Christmas ball and go, oh, she's gone. Throw that one away. Well, hey, we want to talk about 401ks. Or technically they're called defined contribution plans. That's the fancy term for them. But employees want more bells and whistles, besides the fact that they keep taking money out of them for any old needs. But sponsors are interested in building emergency savings and pay down student loans. And most plans don't have these options. But, Danny, how long have we been talking about overall financial wellness? Now, based on this report from Willis Towers Watson, people are looking for financial wellness, a more holistic way of looking at their money, which I think is great.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, some of these bells and whistles inside of these types of accounts are great. But some of them, I think, are going to lead to some financial destruction in some ways.
You nailed it. And let me press the red button for you right now, because this shows the ignorance of not only plan sponsors, but the financial industry in general based on this article. About a quarter of respondents said that they have Roth or would like Roth features to let their workers build emergency savings. So if anybody can measure my blood pressure right now, or my doctor would say to go, take your pill, because this is ridiculous. To think of the Roth as an emergency savings feature as opposed to a retirement account and not touch it, I don't know. I have no words.
Or
I have nothing besides flexible spending account. This ticks me off. Think about it, right? You are now putting in my mind this vision of a Roth as a vehicle for me to tap, not a retirement account that's going to give me tax-free income that doesn't trigger Medicare, IRMA charge, or Social Security taxes on my Social Security and retirement.
Well, I think what they're mentioning, though, in the article is more about, in the survey in general, is not just in retirement, so to speak, it's a retirement account. But while you're working, if there's an emergency, if there's an issue.
I get that.
That's the problem, too, is that, and from a tax standpoint, yes, that makes sense. If they're going to allow you to take it out, you can use these funds, great. You get in a dire need. The issue is that it's going to happen because somebody wants something. They saw something shiny in the window.
That's right. If I'm using my Roth and that's funded with after-tax contributions, and there's enough leakage in pre-tax accounts.
Yeah.
Why do I need to tap my retirement account to buy a home? That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think that should even be allowed.
It shouldn't be allowed. No, in the Biden proposal is a tax credit, which I can sort of get if that's what you want to do, but then take away the distribution element for your 401k for a first-time home buyer. You don't need both.
Yeah.
But to condition the Roth as some form of an emergency savings vehicle as opposed to what we consider an emergency savings vehicle, why don't you just set up emergency savings accounts, right? And say, listen, create a match, create a financial vulnerability cushion for a plan, and say, we'll match up to whatever dollars you put into this emergency savings account. 3 to 6 months living expenses. We talking about it for a year. Okay, but that's not the Roth as your emergency savings account. Because to your point, Danny, I see there's my car. I'm going to buy a new car. I'm going to, I have all this after-tax money now. You're just setting yourself up for disaster.
I agree.
So that's not, I like the sentiment because people don't have emergency savings, but not linked to their defined contribution plan. Now, there's even more enthusiasm for a student loan or other debt features, right? Helping workers pay down their student loans and also saving the company's retirement plan. Now, again, we have seen companies try to step up to offer maybe a match or a pay down or accelerated pay down.
Oh, we did.
Student loan. Well,
that went away.
Well, I'm always talking about the pre-pandemic.
Correct.
But we have seen that. But what you have to keep in mind, just like what you're doing right now in your employer benefits package, you've got to look at these things with new eyes, because what might be offered to you in your 401k or with your defined contribution plan are additional features. Now, here's one thing I really do like is lifetime income options are present in relatively few plans, right? About 16% of plans include annuities, life, anything's going to give you, say, income for the rest of your life, sort of like Social Security would be, which is that. But there has been a slow building popularity to looking at, hey, lifetime income options. The industry is looking at, okay, Danny, you got this, because we always talk about in our right lane class, you can't get fixed guaranteed income from variable assets. Fixed returns from variable assets just doesn't work. But if I could say, Danny, you've got X amount of dollars in your plan, and if you can convert this to a lifetime option, this is roughly how much you would get. Correct. To me, this is much better than going by some silly 4% portfolio distribution rule, right? Because at least I have no market variability. I'll be able to buy an income stream, although that would be sad with the median income, with the median 401k say, sir,
you're going to get $62 for the rest of your life.
$62 a month for the rest of your life. But the sentiment there, I can sort of support. Why not just add an income option? Why don't you just include annuities? Well, guess what? TIAA announced that it now has 100 clients using something called Retire Plus Service, which has the option of including annuities as a qualified default investment option. People are going to have to understand the benefits of a guaranteed income structure, whether it's maximizing Social Security or creating your own pension that complements your variable assets of stocks and bonds. It can't just be your stocks and bonds, especially, Danny, based on our estimates that over the next 10 to 12 years, returns on variable assets are going to be relatively disappointing.
Well, I think over the next 10 to 15 years, we're going to see major changes within the 401k plans. I think that we're going to see a lot of flexibility, which is going to be good and bad. But I think that, what you're just talking about with TIAA CREF is certainly very, very good to help that lifetime income. But make sure you do a plan to understand exactly what you have. So, hey, thanks for tuning in today. You've listened to The Real Investment Show. Go to realinvestmentadvice.com. Sign up for Lance's his newsletter. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. Y'all have a great weekend. Thank you.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet. Sign up for the Real Investment Report now at realinvestmentadvice.com.
It's a rich man's world.